What's up, friends? Have you been thinking about staking your AVAX, but not really sure where to start? Or maybe you're already involved with staking, but want to kind of weigh your options between liquid staking versus staking with a validator or a delegator. Well, today we're going to get into the details of both, really talk about the pros and cons of each of those things. But before we do, let's talk about what staking is in general. Really, at its core, what you're doing when you are staking your assets, either as a delegator or as a validator or with liquid staking, is you're helping to operate the network. So what happens is there are computers that are out there that are processing transactions, communicating with other nodes, and making the network really come to life. In order to operate one of those, you need a certain amount of AVAX, 2,000 if you're a validator, in order to get the ability to do that. And in exchange for your services, you get certain returns back that allow you to be rewarded for that. So now the ways you can participate in that, there are a number of them. One is validating. So that's actually operating the node itself. There's delegating, which is contributing AVAX to a person or a computer that is doing that. Or you can actually do it with liquid staking as well. So if you are interested in learning more about delegating your assets, I do have another video that you can watch in order to learn more about that. I'll link that here as well. But we're going to talk really today mostly about liquid staking. So what you're doing when you're liquid staking is essentially exchanging your AVAX for a token that represents your delegation of that asset to validate the network. And so there's a few different ways that you can do that. We're going to talk about a couple examples and a couple of protocols that you can use in order to do that. But essentially at its core, that's what it is. Now, the benefit of doing that over actually delegating using the P chain is that, as the name implies, it's liquid. So if you delegate on the P chain, you actually have to choose a time period for when you want to remove those assets. That could be 14 days. That could be, up until, a year from now. It really depends on the validator that you're delegating to in terms of how long you can do it. But once you decide on that time, you're committed. So let's say you're going to delegate for 3 months. If you need those assets within 3 months, like less than 3 months, you don't have a way to get them back. They are in a smart contract. They are there until your delegation period is over. With a liquid staked asset, if you decide to convert them into other assets, you have the ability to do that immediately after you've done it. Now, there's a couple of nuances there that we'll talk about with some of the different protocols that are out there in terms of how you can do that. But essentially, you can use that. You also have the benefit of being able to use them in other DeFi applications. So let's say you wanted to use them as liquidity pair. You could do that in a DEX. You could take those liquid staked AVAX as well as another token. Usually it's regular AVAX or wrapped AVAX. You pair it with that, and then you can earn some rewards from doing that. So a couple of different things that you can do with that kind of differ from delegating on the P chain. So there's some of the pros of liquid staked asset. There are, of course, going to be some risks as well. One of those is the third party risk. So you are kind of putting your trust into whatever partner that you use to stake your assets, to buy that liquid stake token. So whether it's Benqi or Gogopool or any of the other ones that are out there that you might choose, you are kind of putting your faith in them that they're going to, operate in a way that is good. The other thing is smart contract risk. So these are managed by smart contracts. These folks that we're going to go through today, do have thoroughly audited smart contracts, but that doesn't mean that there's no risk. There's always a risk anytime you're dealing with a smart contract. So you're going to want to do your due diligence before you make any decision on that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and look at a couple of different examples. We're going to start with Benqi. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go to get our staked AVAX. So we're going to go to liquid staking here. Will take me to a screen that looks like this. And then you can see here, I'm going to stake my assets. So you can see how much AVAX I have available and how much I want to stake. So let's say I want to stake 1 AVAX, and I'm going to go to down here. You can look at a couple of different things. So one is it's going to show how much staked AVAX I already have, which in this wallet, I don't have any at this time. You can see my approximate APR. Now, important for you to note, depending on your screen resolution, that might look like a minus 5.49. It's actually just meaning approximately 5.49. It's that little squiggly line symbol. So it is around 5.49 is about what my APR is going to be. You'll also see how much I'm going to get. So now one of the things you might have noticed is that I'm staking 1 AVAX, and in return, I'm getting 0.86 staked AVAX. Now, the reason that price is a little bit different is because that stake token has been getting returns on it. So it continues to get more valuable because that 5.49 APR continues to earn more and more and more. And then that raises the price of the token. So that's really what it is. I would say that for that, you're always generally going to notice that the staked asset's going to be higher than the AVAX that you're buying it with. And that's what that is. So you can also see the exchange rate, how much AVAX I'm putting in for that. It's the same amount because I'm only doing one. And then you can see down here a little bit more detail. So you can see my APR. You can see how many other stakers there are. So there's 56,000 stakers for staked AVAX with Benqi. You can see the market cap, the cooldown period. So that's one thing that's important to know if you are unstaking your assets with Benqi. If you use their site to actually unstake the assets that you've staked, you do have a waiting period. So you have to wait 15 days in order to be able to remove the assets from there. And then after that 15 days is up, you have 2 days to pull it out. So you wait 15 days, a 2-day window to pull it out, or it'll get restaked again if you don't pull it out within those 2 days. So an important factor to be thinking about if you are using Benqi for that. So I'm going to go ahead and stake that. So click there. You can see I have my transaction to approve here, and it's going to confirm that for me. And should here, there we go. So now I do have 0.86 staked AVAX. All right, so now that we have the staked AVAX, let's look at what we can actually do with it. So there's a few things that you can do right here within Benqi in order to get some additional opportunities that open up with that liquid staked AVAX that you have. So I'm going to go back to the Benqi start page, and you can see there's a tab here for lend and borrow. I'm going to click on that. And in here, it's going to give me a few options. So I can supply my staked AVAX. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to staked AVAX. Let's say I want to supply all of it. Now, just putting it in here and being part of the supply, there is an opportunity to earn some returns. So I could just supply it here. And then let's go ahead and do that. I'll approve and supply. I'm going to click approve. It's going to process the transaction. It's now complete, and my supply is now confirmed. I need to approve a second transaction. All right, and it is now supplied on the network. And so I can leave it there if I want to. So I'm going to close that out. And you can see here, I'm going to get an additional net APY of 1.29. Now, let's say I wanted the opportunity to be able to borrow that as well. So you can see down here, there's a little tab there that says use as collateral. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it'll allow me to use it as collateral. I'm going to have to approve a transaction in order to make that happen. I'm going to approve that. Wait for that to process. All right, and now it is enabled. All right, so now that I have that done, I can actually go over to the borrow tab, and I can choose what I want to borrow. So you can see I have a limit. Since I'm essentially supplying 1 AVAX worth of staked AVAX, then I have 0.7 AVAX that I'm allowed to borrow using this. So I can put in how much I want to borrow. Let's say I just want to borrow half an AVAX. Then I can put that in. It'll show the terms of that. So I'm going to pay an APY in order to do that. So it is going to cost me something to do it. But if I maybe believe that the token is going to go up enough to offset that APY that I'm getting charged there, I might make that choice. Again, this is one of those things, not financial advice, do your own research. But if you are wanting to borrow using any of your staked assets, this is how you do it. So you would click on borrow, and then that process would go through. All right, so now it's been supplied. Let's say I don't want to supply it anymore. I want to take my staked AVAX back. I'm going to use it for something else. The way that you do that is down here, there's a button that says withdraw. I'm going to go ahead and click that. You can just do max, so I can take all of the staked AVAX out of that supply. I'm going to go ahead and approve my transaction. It'll take just a moment, and then I can have access to my staked AVAX again. So that's really as simple as that, how you can actually use the borrowing. And so now I have it back in my wallet. So now let's say I want to convert that back into AVAX. So there's a few different ways that you can do it. So one of them is if I go back to the liquid staking page, you can see here there's a tab for unstake. I can put in how much I want to unstake. I can do 0.86 staked AVAX, which again is equivalent to roughly 1 AVAX as well. And I can click on unstake. Now, remember when I was talking about Benqi at the beginning. So you actually have a 15-day wait period in order to unstake this way. But that doesn't mean that you can't still get access to your assets before then. So one of the things you could do is just go to a DEX. And you can use that DEX in order to swap that for AVAX that way as well. All right, so let's look at how we can do that. Now, one thing I want you to note before we do, so you'll notice down here, if it shows how much I'm going to receive. So I'm going to receive 1 AVAX complete. Now, if I go over to, let's say, Dexalot, we'll see what that looks like. I'm going to swap that. So I'm going to change staked AVAX into AVAX, and I'm going to click on max, and you'll see I'm going to get a little bit less back. I'm going to get 0.997. So not a ton. So just probably a few pennies if you're thinking about it in USD. But it is important to note, if you are doing that with a lot of staked AVAX, it may be worth your while to wait the 15 days. We're not going to today. We're going to go ahead and just make the transfer here. So I'm going to go to approve. All right, now I'm going to be ready to do the swap. So I'm going to review the swap. I'm going to click on swap, and I'm going to click approve here. And here in just a bit, now I'm back to AVAX. So I came out a little bit less just for doing the demo, but I think it was good to get to see how that works. All right, so that's one option. So that's with Benqi. I want to show you another option that you can use for liquid staking, and that's with Gogopool. So now Gogopool is a little bit different in terms of what they do. So Benqi, you saw a couple of different things that they offer in terms of overall functionality. So one of them being you can stake AVAX with them. You can also borrow and lend with them. So with Gogopool, one of the things that they do that's pretty cool is they're also helping to create new validators. So they have something called mini pools. I did actually a podcast episode with Gogopool a while back. I'll link to that here as well. But essentially they have mini pools where all you need is 1,000 AVAX plus a certain amount of Gogopool, 150 AVAX worth of Gogopool tokens in order to have your own validator. So if you are interested in that, definitely more information out there that I'll link to so you can learn how to do that. For today, we're really just going to look at the staking side of things, or really kind of the equivalent of delegating with them. So what you're going to do is you're going to click here on Liquid Stake on their website, and then you can choose how much do I want to stake. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 1 AVAX, and you can see how much GG AVAX I'm going to get in exchange for that 1 AVAX. So I'm going to connect my wallet using Core, and I'm going to click here on stake. And it's going to go ahead and swap that over for me. I'm going to go ahead and approve. And it is now staked. So you can see here the total GG AVAX I get is 0.94. One of the things that's kind of cool with Gogopool is, in addition to your staking rewards, so in addition to that delegation, they have something that's called MEV rewards. And so that stands for maximum extractable value. It's something that you may have heard about when you're thinking about DeFi in general, but one of the things that they do is, because they have because they have all this AVAX available to them, they're able to help kind of correct imbalances in different prices with DEX. There are rewards that come from doing that, and they share that with folks that have GG AVAX. So if you kind of look at the return rates for them, they are going to be a little bit more. Now, one of the things you also might have noticed, so when we're looking at the staked AVAX with Benqi versus the GG AVAX with Gogopool, that the amount of GG AVAX I got was different. And I would say for that, don't necessarily think of it in terms of one's more valuable than the other. Really, it just has to do with when the token was created and how those rewards have been accruing. So essentially, look more at the APY that you get versus doing that. All right, so now that I have my GG AVAX, what can I do with that? So now, depending on your geography, one of the things that you can do is use Delta Prime for borrowing and lending. So it's not available in all places. Just kind of check the site. If it works for you, you may be able to use that. But with that site, you can actually, similar to what we did with Benqi, you can supply the token, and then you can borrow against that. They actually have some really cool features we won't get into here. But if you're working in your geography, definitely feel free to check that out. Now, another thing you can do as well is you can actually use it in a DEX. So we're going to actually look at Trader Joe to look at how you can actually do that. So let's go over to Trader Joe. Now, from their site, we're going to go to Pool. And then here we can actually choose the pool that we want to use. Now, one thing that, depending on when you're watching this, the Avalanche Boost program may be going on. So it may be something you can actually do as well. If that's passed at the time, it's still a great way to get a little additional return on your assets. Now, if you are going to participate in Boost, you can click here on Has Rewards, and it'll show you all the different token pairs that do offer the rewards, which Gogo AVAX and regular AVAX is one of those. So I'm going to go ahead and click which Gogo AVAX, GG AVAX and AVAX is one of those. So I'm going to go ahead and click that here. You can see I get an additional 0.4 reward for that. And so there are some stipulations that kind of happen with that. You have to stay within a certain range, but it is a nice little bonus if you are willing to kind of manage your liquidity that way as well. So all I would do here is I'm going to choose how much GG AVAX I'm going to put in. I'm going to put an equivalent amount of regular AVAX. There's different methods you can do. We're not going to get into all of in one of my previous videos, I kind of shared a little more on this, but if you want to learn about how to supply liquidity, you can click here. It'll give you a lot of great details on like different shapes and some of the strategies you can put in place. But you can do that. And let's say I do want to make sure that I get my rewards on this. I can click select reward range. And from here, I can actually go ahead and do my staking in order to get that to happen. I'm not going to actually do it, but that is how you would be able to get that additional benefit as well. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Again, just to kind of recap some of the benefits of liquid staking, one of them is that you have that time that you can use to take it out whenever you want to. So you don't have to be committed to 14 days to a year. You can actually take it out whenever you want to. You do also have the benefit of being able to use it in DeFi or other lending protocols. So another nice thing to do. Again, always remember there are some risks to it. Want to make sure you're trusting the parties that you're working with, and then also that the smart contracts have been audited as well. But with that, friends, hopefully you found this useful. If you did, please give a follow and subscribe. Also stay tuned. We will be having a lot more videos like this. So look forward to more to come. But thanks so much, everybody. Talk to you soon.